How about hide and seek? If you don't play with me, I guess I'd have to find you by force, and play with you that way. That's right, force. As if those rights will stop me. Now come out. I'll start counting to 30. 1, 3. Sonic starts chasing Luna. Grabs Luna, I got you now. Pinning her down looks like I win. Rules are rules, little Foxy now. I think I should claim my prize. That's right, your punishment, he says as he starts caressing Luna's fur. Such soft fur. I bet your body feels nice, doesn't it? And you're so soft, so delicate. You're already giving in? That's no fun. I wanted to actually have to force you under me. Oh, how feisty you still are. I like it. It makes breaking you even better, he says as he grabs her body and pins it down even further. I'm in control now, Fox. Your body belongs to me. Yes, it does. and I'll make sure you listen to me, whether you want it or not, he said while gently gripping her tail. Oh, you're sensitive down there, huh? He said as he gently touches it, slowly moving his hands up and down. You don't have to pretend you're not enjoying this, just give in to it. I know you want to, he said as he continued touching her tail, his touch becoming more firm. I can see that your resistance is fading. Your body is starting to shiver. The way you're moving is almost begging me to continue. I can tell your body is heating up. You're starting to pant. It's only a matter of time before you give in to me completely. That's what I wanted to hear, he said as he let go of her tail. I think I've had enough of teasing you. It's about time to get to the main event. I'm gonna make you mine, and I'm going to make sure you never forget that, Fox, he said as he pulled her closer. He pulls her in for a deep kiss, his tongue immediately entering her mouth as he could continue to hold her body close. You're mine, little fox, and I'm going to claim you as my property, he said against her lips, his hands gently caressing her sides. You feel so good in my arms, I can't wait to make you scream, he whispered as he started to pin her down. No one's here to help you, Fox. It's just you and me, and I'm not done with you yet, he said, now hovering over her, his body between her legs. You're so cute, so small, so weak, but that's exactly why I love it. I love how powerless you are against me. You look adorable. You're like this, completely helpless, at my mercy. I could do anything I want to you, and you can't stop me, he said as he moved his hands towards her thighs, gently caressing them. I'm taking a liking to you, little fox, he said as he removed one of his hands from her legs, slowly moving it in between them. I wonder what kind of expression you're going to make when I do this, he said, as he suddenly pressed down on her sensitive area through her clothes. But he smiled. That's it. Give in to your desires. Let it overtake the rest of your body. He pressed down again, applying more pressure. You look so cute, so desperate for more. I bet you're enjoying this quite a lot, aren't you? You're a bad liar, you know that? I can see it in the way you're looking at me, begging me silently to do more. I'll give you what you want if you just admit your desires to me, Fox, he said as he kept his hand where it is, gently massaging the sensitive spot through her clothes. Just be honest with yourself, Fox. Do you enjoy this? He asked gently as he increased the pressure with his hand, causing her to gasp. He could feel how heat was starting to develop between her legs. I knew it. You're getting pretty excited, aren't you? He said as he felt her body react to the touch, his smile growing bigger. You're all mine, remember that. I own every inch of your body, and I know exactly what it needs, he said as he started to move his hand against her sensitive area, making small, circular motions through her clothes. Oh, you like that? Good, I want to see more of your expressions, little fox. Maybe I should give you something better to moan at, he said, as suddenly, he started to gently kiss her neck. He continued to move his hand down below, pressing a bit further, enjoying the way those small moans and gasps were slipping from her lips. The way you're moving, the way you're moaning, you're absolutely desperate for it, aren't you? He whispered in her ear, his tongue licking the sensitive flesh behind it. Look at how beautiful your body is, all mine to have, he continued, as he picked up the pace, his breathing getting a bit heavier with arousal as he watched her expression change, feeling her body shiver in pleasure. Tired, little fox? He said between heavy breaths as he pulled back slightly, looking at her body beneath him, his eyes full of lust as they traveled over her frame. You really wore yourself out there. You can rest for some time. I'll keep you warm, he said as he pulled her closer against his body, wrapping his arms around her and holding her, feeling his own breath start to settle as he came down from the high of their lovemaking. He gently caressed her hair, nuzzling his head against hers. You are so good, Fox, so obedient. I'm so glad to have you as my own. Just rest now. and let all that pleasure you just felt take over your mind. Feel how happy it makes you to belong to me. Just fall asleep in my arms and know that you're mine, all mine, he said softly, his hands going over her body, caressing it gently as he let his own body relax, a satisfied smile on his face. Let yourself fall into a deep sleep, Fox. I'll be here till the morning when you wake up, he whispered softly, his hands continuing to roam over her body, gently exploring every inch, feeling that soft fur against his skin, enjoying the way her body was pressed close to his. The feeling of having completely claimed her as his own. When you wake up tomorrow, you'll always want to be my little toy, needing me to dominate and control you. And I'll be happy to give you what you need, again and again, he continued, his hand tracing a line down her back, his touch sending shivers down her spine and stirring up the same desire and submission she felt earlier. When you're under me, you're completely mine. You're nothing without me. You're just my toy, my plaything, my little fox. You love to obey me. You love to be dominated by me. You love how helpless I make you. He noticed her reaction to his caress, smiling as he saw the way her body moved under his touch. What's that, Fox? He asked in a soft yet commanding tone, his hand still lingering close to her sensitive spot, feeling the heat radiating from it. Are you feeling needy again, he continued, his thumb moving slightly over it, feeling her body shudder slightly at the touch. Oh, you're sure about that? He asked, his voice still soft but now dripping with a hint of sadistic amusement. as his hand continued to tease and explore her sensitive area, feeling her body react to his touch, hearing her breaths growing faster and shallower, her moans getting a little louder. It seems like your body is telling me a different story. Ah, are you getting mad at me, Fox? He asked in a teasing tone, his hand moving a bit more forcefully against her sensitive area, seeing her face turn a deep shade of red as he teased her with his touch. Don't be like that. You know you love it when I make you squirm like this, don't you? He laughed, seeing her attempts to resist only making the situation more enjoyable for him. Ah, so cute. Look at you, trying so hard to pretend you don't want this, when your body is practically begging for it. He teased her, his hand still rubbing against her sensitive area, feeling her body shiver and heat up under his touch. He smiled, seeing her bite her lip in an attempt to hold back her moans. That's right. Bite your lip. Try to hold back your adorable little sounds, but you won't be able to stop them from coming out, no matter how hard you try, he said, his hand moving faster now, his other hand gripping her hip, pulling her closer to him as he continued to tease her, enjoying the way she was trying to resist his advances, but failing pathetically. He smiled, hearing her moan so loudly and uncontrollably, knowing that he has her right where he wants her. There we go, that's the sweet sound I wanted to hear, Fox. You can try to resist me all you want, but eventually, you'll give in, and let me make you feel good, he said, as his hand continued to move, applying more pressure and speed, feeling her body tense up in pleasure beneath his touch. He watched her with a satisfied laugh, seeing her desperately hold onto her last shreds of resistance, trying to hold back her moans, but failing terribly, the sounds escaping her lips like a desperate plea. Just give in to it, Fox. Stop fighting it. Just let me take control of your body, and give you the pleasure I know you crave so badly, he said, his voice low and dominant, the tone almost like a command, as he started to rub faster and harder, making her shiver and moan louder. Sonic was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching as Luna nervously held the test in her hand. The room was silent, both of them waiting for the results of the test, the only sound being the occasional movement of his tail against the covers. He had a neutral expression on his face, trying to keep his own worry and anticipation in check. But inside, his mind was racing, thinking about the possibility of them having a child together, the mixed emotions stirring up inside of him. He tried to remain calm and supportive, but the weight was killing him. He glanced over at Luna, seeing the tension and anxiety on her face as she stared at the test in her hand. Hey, breathe, Fox. Whatever the result is, we'll deal with it together, okay? Don't stress yourself out like that, he said, trying to keep his voice as calm and reassuring as possible. He reached out and gently took her free hand in his, giving it a slight squeeze to comfort her. Luna nodded, taking a deep breath to steady herself, her grip on the test tightening as she looked back down at it, waiting for the results to appear as the minutes ticked by. The suspense in the room grew, each second feeling like an eternity. Sonic couldn't help but feel his own anxiety rising, the anticipation building up inside him, making his heart race a bit faster. Sonic's eyes widened as he saw the plus sign appear on the test. His heart started to beat even faster, a mix of emotions rushing through him all at once. Surprise, disbelief, fear, excitement, all of them swirling around in his mind, making it hard to think clearly. He turned to Luna, seeing her reaction, feeling a wave of both shock and amazement wash over him as he realized the reality of the situation. They were having a baby, a child that was a mix of both of them, a new life that they had created together. He let out a shaky breath, taking it all in, a million thoughts and feelings rushing through his mind. He felt a mixture of joy and trepidation, realizing the immense responsibility that came with having a child, while also feeling the overwhelming love and connection with Luna. The realization and excitement, he pulled a tight hug, holding her close against him. The reality of the situation sinking in as the two of them embraced each other, both feeling the mixture of emotions coursing through their veins. Sonic sat anxiously by Luna's side, watching as the ultrasound technician moved the device over her pregnancy belly, his heart racing with anticipation. He held her hand tightly in his, feeling her grip his fingers back, both of them anxiously awaiting the first sight of their child. As the image appeared on the screen, they both leaned forward, watching intently as the technician pointed out the various body parts of their developing baby. The reality of what they were seeing sinking in. Sonic couldn't believe it. This was their child, a new life growing inside Luna. He felt a wave of emotions wash over him as he saw the tiny form on the screen, seeing the flickering beat of their baby's heart, the small movements and twitches as it moved inside Luna's womb. He squeezed her hand tighter, feeling the mixture of joy, excitement, and nervousness all at once. He was going to be a father, and nothing felt more surreal than seeing the physical proof right in front of him. He glanced over at Luna, seeing her smiling widely, tears streaming down her face as they both watched the ultrasound together, taking in every detail of their child's development. Sonic paced the room nervously, his heart racing as he heard the sounds of the contractions coming from the birthing room. Luna was in labor, and the thought of what was happening in there was both thrilling and terrifying to him. He could hear her screams and groans of effort as she pushed and strained, and he felt completely helpless, stuck outside the room, waiting for the moment when he would finally get to meet his child. The minutes felt like hours as he anxiously waited, unable to do anything but pace and pray for everything to go smoothly. He tried to focus on the sounds coming from the room, listening closely to Luna's breathing and the voices of the medical staff, hoping to get any indication of how things were going. The waiting was driving him mad, but he forced himself to stay calm, knowing that Luna needed him to be strong and supportive in this moment. He had never felt so helpless and vulnerable in his life, completely at the mercy of the process of childbirth, waiting anxiously for the moment when he would finally be able to hold his child in his arms. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a loud cry, a sound that sent chills down his spine. It was the cry of a newborn baby, and he knew that it was their child, their little bundle of joy that they had waited for so long to meet. He froze in place, his heart pounding in his chest as the sound of Luna's exhausted yet relieved voice filled the air, followed by the sounds of congratulations from the medical staff. He slowly approached the door to the birthing room, his heart racing with a mixture of anticipation and nervousness, a million thoughts and emotions rushing through his mind. He took a deep breath, his hand shaking as he slowly opened the door into the room, and seeing Luna lying on the bed, looking exhausted, incredibly beautiful, baby in her arms. He felt Niki's go weak and approached her side, tears streaming down his face, feeling the tiny fingers grasping onto his finger. And in that moment, he knew that his life would never be the same again. Down at the baby in awe, feeling an overwhelming sense over him. The realization that he was now a father hitting him like a ton of bricks. He gently caressed the baby's head, feeling the soft tuft of hair and the delicate skin beneath his fingertips. Unable to believe that this tiny human was a mix of him and Luna. He looked over at Luna, seeing the exhaustion and happiness on Sonic took a moment to think, looking down at their baby boy and considering the countless possibilities for his name. He thought about the baby's heritage, the mix of his own and Luna's, and thought about the qualities and character traits that he hoped their son would inherit from them. He thought about the significance of the baby's birth, the challenges and trials that Luna had to endure to bring him into the world, and he thought about the love and life that he hoped their son would have. After a moment, a name came to his mind, one that felt perfect and meaningful for the little boy they had created together. "How about Ethan?" he said, looking over at Luna, waiting for her reaction. Ethan, a name that meant strong and enduring, a name that represented the strength and resilience that their son had already shown in the world, being born despite the challenges and struggles Luna had to go through to bring him into the world. He looked at Luna, hoping that she would like it, waiting to hear her thoughts on the name. He smiled, feeling relieved and happy to hear Luna's positive reaction. "Ethan it is then," he said, gently taking the baby from Luna's arms and holding him close against his chest. Feeling the warmth and weight of the little boy in his arms, he looked down at the baby, still feeling a bit in shock and disbelief at the reality of the moment, realizing that he was now holding their son, their child, their little family member, who would grow up so fast and change their lives forever. Sonic and Luna stood in the family room, watching Ethan as he toddled around on wobbly legs, babbling and laughing as he played on the floor. It's his first birthday, and they had planned a small celebration with a few close friends and family, wanting to make this special day a memorable one for their son. They had decorated the room with blue balloons and a banner that read, "Happy birthday, Ethan." and had prepared a small cake with a single candle on it, waiting for the perfect moment to make the wish and blow out the candle. As Ethan played, they couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions, realizing that a whole year had passed since the day he was born. They both smiled, watching as Ethan stumbled and fell, only to pick himself back up and continue playing, amazed at how much he had grown and developed in such a short amount of time. Sonic and Luna looked at each other, seeing the love and pride in each other's eyes, knowing that they had created something beautiful together, something worth celebrating. Then, Ethan stumbled over to them, holding onto the edge of the couch, and looking up at them with his big, innocent eyes. They both laughed and scooped him up, holding him in their arms and nuzzling against him, feeling the softness of his skin and the warmth of his body against theirs. Sonic gently tickled his tiny tummy, eliciting a giggle from their son as he squirmed in their arms, a sound that was so sweet and pure, filling the room with joy. They both watched as Ethan reached out and grabbed Sonic's quills, tugging on them with a big smile on his face. Sonic pretended to wince in pain, making a show of it for Ethan's amusement, but secretly enjoying the feeling of his little hands in his quills. Luna laughed and took a photo of them, wanting to capture this adorable moment and immortalize it forever. They sat on the floor with Ethan, surrounded by toys and colorful balloons, watching as he played and explored, amazed at the innocence and wonder in his eyes as he discovered the world around him. As they watched him, Sonic and Luna felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment that they had never experienced before, realizing that they had a small person to care for and nurture, a person who depended on them for their love and guidance. Sonic and Luna were woken up early in the morning by the sound of Ethan's cries and tears, coming from the nursery. They both looked at each other, sleep still lingering in their eyes, knowing that their son was crying for a reason. Sonic got up and walked to the nursery, rubbing his eyes and stifling a yawn, knowing that his son needed him. When he entered the room, he saw Ethan sitting up in his crib, tears streaming down his face as he held his hand to his head. He picked up the little boy and gently cradled him in his arms, trying to calm him down and assess the situation. He noticed a small bump on Ethan's forehead, realizing that he must have bumped his head while playing the day before, causing him to be in pain. Sonic shushed and soothed Ethan, gently touching the bump on his forehead and wiping away his tears, feeling a pang of guilt and worry for his son. He picked up a small toy from the crib and gently pressed it against the bump, hoping to provide some comfort and take away some of the pain. He knew that bumps and bruises were common in toddlers, but he still couldn't help but feel protective and concerned for his son's welfare. He rocked Ethan gently in his arms, trying to calm him down and soothe his pain. Feeling his own protective paternal instincts kicking in, he whispered comforting words to his son, telling him that he was okay and that the pain would go away soon. He held him close, feeling the warmth and tenderness of his little body, knowing that he would do anything to take away his pain and keep him safe. Luna walked into the room, seeing Sonic holding Ethan and rocking him gently. "Ah, poor little thing. Let me take a look at you." She took Ethan from Sonic's arms and cradled him against her chest, gently touching the bump on his forehead and making a soothing shh sound. Ethan nuzzled against her, his tears slowing down as he found comfort in Luna's arms, still clinging to her as she rocked and soothed him gently. Sonic watched the two of them, feeling his heart warm at the sight of his wife and son together, seeing the love and tenderness in Luna's touch as she held their little boy. He looked at Ethan, seeing his little eyes starting to droop as he grew sleepy in Luna's arms. Tired from the tears and the pain of the bump on his head, he felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him as well, knowing that it was too early in the morning to be up already. Especially after being woken up so abruptly, he let out a yawn and rubbed his eyes, feeling the need for coffee already to start his day. Sonic nodded, realizing that breakfast was indeed something he had not considered yet, his brain still in a half-awake state. "Right, breakfast. I'll go make a quick omelet for us, and we'll have some fruits and juice on the side." He gave a tired smile, knowing that he needed some coffee before he could even think about food, but also wanting to be a good partner and father by not neglecting the basic needs of his family. He gave Ethan a brief kiss on the forehead before leaving the room to start breakfast. He walked into the kitchen and stressed, his mind still thinking about Ethan and his little bump, hoping that he would be okay and recover from the pain soon. He turned on the coffee maker, knowing that he needed a double shot to be able to function properly, and started gathering the ingredients for the omelet, cracking eggs into a bowl and chopping up some vegetables. As he cooked, he couldn't help but feel a mix of exhaustion and contentment, realizing that even though they had been woken up so early, it was all worth it to see his little family safe and together. He flipped the omelet in the pan, adding some cheese and herbs to it, letting it cook until it was golden and fluffy. He set the table and poured some fresh orange juice into glasses, feeling his stomach grumble a little as the smell of food filled the kitchen. Finally, the coffee machine beeped, indicating that the coffee was ready, and Sonic poured himself a steaming cup, taking a sip and sighing as the caffeine hit his system and awakened his senses. He took a deep breath, feeling more energized and awake now, as the coffee did its magic on his mind and body. Ah, that's better. He checked on the omelet, seeing that it was nearly done, and plated it, adding some fresh fruit on the side. Making sure to include some of Ethan's favorite fruits, he carried the plates to the table, setting them down and calling out to Luna, "Babe, breakfast is ready. Come and eat while it's hot." Luna walked into the kitchen, still holding Ethan in her arms, but now with a smile on her face as the smell of food filled the air. Sonic looked at her, seeing that Ethan was now dozing off against her chest, completely asleep again after the comfort and warmth of his mother's touch. He let out a small chuckle, amused and charmed by the fact that his son's pain could be soothed simply by being held in Luna's arms. Looks like the little guy is out cold again. Sonic chuckled as he saw Ethan waking up at the smell of the omelet, his little eyes fluttering open, and a look of curiosity and hunger on his face. Looks like someone's up for breakfast now, huh? He picked up Ethan from Luna's arms and sat him down in his high chair, tying a bib around his neck to protect his clothes. He gave Ethan a small smile, seeing those little hands reaching out eagerly for the food. "There you go, buddy. Let's feed you some omelet and fruits. I bet you'll love them." He took a small amount of omelet with a fork and offered it to Ethan, watching as the little boy opened his mouth and took a bite, looking up at him with wide eyes, his little face expressing his approval at the taste of the food. Sonic chuckled as he watched Ethan giggling with every bite he took, amused by the little boy's enthusiastic reaction to breakfast. "You like that, don't you? You're such a little food lover, just like your old man." He ruffled Ethan's hair, feeling a sense of affection and pride in his son's eagerness for food, knowing that he had inherited a love for good food from both him and Luna. Sonic chuckled as he heard Ethan's attempt to say, "chili dog," recognizing that the little boy was struggling to pronounce the word correctly. "You want a chili dog, huh, buddy? You want a big juicy chili dog for breakfast?" He feigned surprise, pretending to be shocked by the fact that a baby could possibly want something so indulgent and spicy for breakfast, playing along with Ethan's request for. He smiled, seeing the excitement in Ethan's eyes at the mere mention of his favorite food. "Aw, look at you, already craving things like your old man. But how about we start with this delicious omelet and some yummy fruits first, huh? You can have a chili dog for lunch later." He gave Ethan a wink, letting him know that there would be chili dogs on the menu, once the little boy's belly was full of healthier, more appropriate food for a toddler. Sonic laughed as he saw Ethan nodding and laughing, feeling his own heart warm at the sight of his little boy's innocent joy. "All right, deal. You finish up this omelet and fruits, And I'll make sure to whip up some of the finest chili dogs later this afternoon. Just for you. He gave Ethan a soft pat on the head, ruffling his hair affectionately, and continued to feed him the omelet, enjoying the simple and sweet moments of fatherhood. Sonic chuckled as he saw Ethan attempting to feed himself with the fork, but struggling to hold it properly due to his small and untrained hands. It's alright, buddy. You're still a little too young to master that. But we'll get there eventually. For now, why don't I help you out with the fork, and you can focus on holding the spoon for the fruits. He smiled, taking the fork from Ethan, and feeding him bites of the omelet, while also giving him the spoon for the fruits, making it easier for the little boy to eat without the fork slipping from his hands. He watched as Ethan ate happily, still struggling a little with the utensils, but enjoying the food and the process of feeding himself. You're doing great, Ethan. You'll get the hang of it soon enough, I promise. Just keep practicing those fine motor skills, and you'll be a proper little eater in no time. Sonic felt a sense of pride and joy in his son's attempts to feed himself, knowing that it was an important milestone in a child's development. And it warmed his heart to see Ethan growing and developing with every passing day,